advice do you have for someone going through their first breakup? Story 1. Give yourself time to grieve for the relationship. Breakups. So give yourself a break and be kind to yourself. Sending internet hugs. You will get through this. Story 2. I love life. Yay, I'm sad, but at the same time I'm really happy that something can make me feel that sad. It's like, it makes me feel alive, you know? It makes me feel human. The only way I can feel this sad now is if I felt something really good before. So I have to take the bad with the good. So I guess what I'm feeling is like a beautiful sadness. Butters. Story 3. Let yourself be sad about it and give time to heal. And don't be all nasty and fucked up when talking about your ex. My ex of 5 years cheated on me and left me without saying a thing, but I still wish her the best and hope she's happy. Definitely exceptions with that, though some people are super fucked up. Story 4. I went through my first breakup this past July. I'd been with him almost 2 years. The best advice I can give you is to not let it consume you. Grieving is normal, and I cried for a long time. But letting yourself become consumed is how bad things happen. Remember that you are worth something and that person is not your world. There are other pieces of your world than that person, and you're going to make it through. Story 5. Don't try and stay friends. Don't keep keepsakes from the relationship. Remove them from social media. Don't look them up or glance at old photos. Surgically remove this person from your life. To the people who will say you can break up and remain friends. Sure, maybe down the line. I'm friends with some of my exes, but certainly not fresh after a breakup. At that point, you are just torturing yourself. Story 6. If you're a guy, take some time off. Guys have a tendency to ignore the emotional wounds from a breakup. You may think you're ready to get back out there, and it's worth trying. But sometimes you get out there and you just aren't ready, and that's fine. Take as long as you need. Edit. I should note this is for everyone, but especially if you're a guy. We're stupid and out of touch with our emotions. Story 7. People are under the impression that the one who does the breaking up doesn't suffer. But both people undergo a grieving process. The one that takes the decision grieves before. The one being let go, if they don't see it coming, suffer afterwards. It's a lonesome process. My advice is to be as pragmatic and practical as emotionally possible. Story 8. Learn from this one. This is the one that will hurt the most. The others in the future will be numbed down. Enjoy this feeling. This is a unique thing you will have in your entire life. Nothing else compares to the sweet feeling of anger, shame, sadness, failure, and frustration you might be feeling right now. Since everything later on feels numbed down and you won't have the same peak of emotions as this one. Enjoy your training and learn as much as you can about yourself from this. Story 9. Block them on your social media. Also, spoilt yourself. Maybe go away for a weekend, hang out with mates, or buy something nice for yourself. Nothing wrong with retail therapy. Story 10. The pain will subside and eventually you'll stop feeling it. It can take anywhere from 2 days to years, though. Don't listen to songs you really like because you'll come to associate them with the breakup and you'll end up hating them. Only start dating other people if that's what you feel it's right. Don't do that to fill the void. It's not fair on the other person. Start dating other people when you feel you won't be upset if the other person did the same, because it means you've moved on a little bit. Story 11. Don't break no contact. Block them on everything. Don't have with them afterwards. Dissociation with anything that reminds you of then. Talk it out. Don't rebound with someone. If you're sad, feel sad. Don't fight it. Don't keep things they gave you or remind you of them. Delete all photos of them. Write down what you want to say to them and toss it. Cliché. But time is the only medicine. Pray you don't run into them. Don't talk about your ex to the next girl on the first date. Story 12. If nothing else, preserve your own dignity and self-respect so that when you eventually look back on events with a clear head, and you will, you can be proud that you weren't a piece of. None of the last words, late-night texts, begging, bartering, emotional warfare, weaponized guilt, social media stalking, bitching, shaming, or shitting in the letterbox is worth it. And you just end up looking back and going, I wish I didn't do that. Story 13. You have grown up in a culture that pushes an idea that you should meet someone and settle down forever, eventually popping out a nuclear family. That tends to make people sad that their early relationships don't match a narrative that wasn't to be, which can make people see the whole thing as an invalid waste of time. Even worse if your ego needs to denigrate that person to preserve some sort of self-esteem. What you had was something. It's a lot more constructive to be thankful for what you learned, the fun you had, the exciting ride that you were gifted, and accept the fucking awful hurt that goes with loving. Mourn it for sure, but getting hung up on the culturally embedded idea that you are owed the rest of someone's time is absurd. That myth exists to support child rearing, not to grow a sane calibration to relationships. I think early relationships could be seen a bit more like a small rare coming and landing on your hand for a moment. Amazing and special moments, but definitely not for closing a fist around. You are now free to try other relationships with surprise lovers you can't imagine. That will take you to other places. Story 14. Just go ahead and have one big episode of crying. Get it out of your system and promise this is it. No more crying after you're finished. Then find something healthy to fill the void. Exercise is probably what most will answer. The only real cure for a breakup is time. You'll eventually find someone else. The real Mr. Right instead of Mr. Right now, or Ms. Whatever. Story 15. Keep your chin up. Breakups are an essential part of figuring out what you like, need, and finding who's right for you. Gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet. Story 16. Don't box up your feelings. Don't text your ex. Don't get into another romantic or sexual relationship for a few months. Don't feel bad about your feelings. Don't drink to forget them. If they text you, then don't respond. Do allow yourself to feel sad, upset, angry. Do spend time with your friends. Do nice things for yourself. Do find a new hobby, thing to enjoy. Do remember that someday these feelings will pass. Do remember that eventually you'll fall in love again. Story 17. If you're anything like me, being a SO to someone slowly becomes your identity. So I'd say discover yourself. Don't be down for too long. Find out what you like to do, find a hobby, and better yourself for your own sake. Don't depend on someone for your happiness. Story 18. No contact. Delete their number and remove from social media. Get rid of reminders. If you're not ready to throw away permanently delete, then at least put away so not easily accessible. Lean on friends and family. Take up a new hobby, preferably something physical. It'll help to do something that has no association with your ex. And if physical will keep you occupied so you don't dwell on your relationship ex, you'll feel better due to endorphin release, will help your self-confidence, and getting fit won't hurt when you're ready to start dating again. Don't try to be friends, Facebook stalk, drown your sorrows, or immediately start a new relationship, bang someone to try and feel better. Story 19. Do not rebound straight into another. It's easy to latch onto the romantic attention to replace what you just lost, but also easy to wake up one morning 3 months later and realize you don't care about the person who was giving you the attention, you were just lonely. Story 20. It's always hard the first time around. If you are going to cry, then cry. Or, if you are going to be upset, then go ahead and let it all out. Or, do something you like that distracts you a bit, such as watching a movie or playing a video game. Or, don't let that person back in your life. They are an ex for a reason. If you don't listen, then you'll understand why I put this particular piece of advice in this post when the time comes. You will find another relationship. For now, don't jump into another one. Don't do anything stupid. Story 21. When it feels like the world is ending and you'll never feel love again, remember that if it's happened once, it will happen again. Definitely take time to grieve, but try to look forward to the future. You're one step closer to finding the one. Kinda corny, but I couldn't think of a better term. Story 22. Most of this is more directed to people who or broken up with rather than did the breaking up. But they can sort of apply to both either way. 1. Cut all forms of contact with your ex, at least for the time being, I suppose not necessarily permanently, but that depends. Take the number out of your phone, unfollow them on social media, everything. It's not about being petty, it's just hard mentally to fully get past someone if you keep them around on your social media and you're always seeing them. And this is true if they broke up with you or vice versa. 2. Allow yourself time to process things before going to try to hook up with somebody else. Rebound attempts are a real thing, but they are always a disaster and can be unfortunate and lead someone. 3. Once you giving yourself time to grieve and go through emotions, think about it rationally. This person didn't want to be with you long term. Doesn't make them a bad person, that doesn't make you a bad person. It just means that there is someone else out there that's better for you. Assuming it was a classic breakup and there was no cheating or anything like that, there's no reason to harbor a grudge against that person. Because at the end of the day, the relationship wasn't going to last. And you are meant to find somebody else who it is meant to last with. And that relationship will be 1,000 times better even if it doesn't seem like it now. That can be hard to accept. But you deserve someone who truly wants to be with you. Be patient in getting back out and working at that becoming a reality. Story 23. Journal about the breakup. The things that were good about the relationship and bad. Then, when you wonder about it later, you have something to look back at and see the relationship a little more realistically. Time changes the way you look at any event, and journaling helps you remember how you felt in the moment. Story 24. I was sad about a 6-month relationship for a whole year. It took time and meeting someone else to get over it. At the time, it honestly felt like I would never meet someone else with a similar connection. But I did. There's no one person for anyone. Story 25. They should be dead to you. Cut them out of your life. 100% hold a private funeral. Let it all out to yourself and then move on. Guarantee it will get better with time, even though at the time it feels impossible. Story 26. There are no hard and fast rules. It depends on how old you are and how long you dated. I'm speaking from a female perspective. Some things I've learned over the years. You will be sad and angry. You'll want to know what the other person is doing. You'll feel out of control and maybe a little reckless. What to do? Take some time to be alone and sad. Take time with friends who care. Keep living your life. As cliché as it is, time heals all wounds, is accurate. One day you'll wake up and it will hurt less. Also, distance makes the heart grow smarter. You will realize what worked and what didn't, and carry that with you as you move into new relationships. Good luck. You are not alone. Story 27. I promise that a day will come that it will not be the first thing you think of when you wake up. It really does get easier. Be kind to yourself. Watch the crappy movie you love. Hang out in soft pants. Eat some chocolate and cheese. Story 28. Can't really give you any advice, but I understand you. Broke up with my 7+ YGF. Meanwhile, my father had a stroke a few weeks back. My sister got cancer. And my mom, the only person with I could ever cry to, is the base of the family. And there is just too much on her right now. But I do think that really feel your emotions. Have an episode of crying is the way to heal. Best of luck. And before looking love on someone new, find love in yourself, with yourself. Be gentle and kind to you. You deserve it. Story 29. Block them on every messenger your social media platform. Block their number. Don't creep on them. It just extends the difficulty. Know that you will get over it. But it takes time, and there is no way to speed that process up. But there are tons of ways to slow it down. That's why you block. In the meantime, work on yourself. You may not feel like jumping back into dating, but when you do, I bet you'd rather do it with pumped biceps and a six-pack. Friendships, careers, passions, fitness, do whatever you gotta do to keep your head up and not feel sorry for yourself. Nothing wrong with being hurt, but don't let it take you down. Story 30. My big one which always helped me is get rid of everything. Delete messages, throw out notes, everything. Not being constantly reminded of these things, and not being able to read them when you want to, helps you move on. Also remember that everything happens for a reason, and when you feel like you're in the right headspace to, figure out what that reason is and find the silver lining. Even the darkest of clouds have them. Head up. Story 31. My first breakup was horrible. That's when you realize in your friend zone who really cares about you and will be there for you. Talking helps a lot. But I wouldn't just go cold turkey in an instant. Savor the sad moment, because this will be the moment where you will get stronger. Story 32. Don't be afraid to go no contact. It's actually very healing. It gives you time to yourself and you can start to separate from the relationship. If you keep in regular contact, I personally feel like it doesn't allow you to fully move on. It's always worked for me. Of course, I've been in the situation where my ex was very against it, but I stood my ground and eventually it all got a lot better. Story 33. The thing that helped me most was self-improvement. Hit the gym or take on a project, buy some new clothes, get a different haircut, whatever makes you feel good about yourself. It's okay to be super sad, but don't let it turn into a downward spiral that ultimately causes even more damage. Excessive eating or drinking, social isolation, or stalking behavior. Lean on your friends, but try not to wallow in your misery. Ask them to help you distract yourself and try to have fun. Story 34. Remove them from your social media. Then, get yourself out of the social media just for a while. Read a book, find a new band, go study something. There is so much more to live for. Story 36. Don't waste your time trying to win them back because even if you do get back together, it will never be the same again, particularly if either of you have slept with someone else after the breakup. Also, it's okay to be sad, but it's not okay to be bitter and self-loathing. Learn from your experiences and focus on the positive things you've learned from the relationship and implement what you've learned to become a better person. Story 37. Don't let it linger too long. I let it get to me for over 6 months. One day my cousin told me that staying home feeling sorry for myself wasn't affecting her at all. She was probably moving on and me sitting in a dark room is going to stop her. Let yourself be sad but know when it's time to let go. Story 38. You will feel sad. Question things. Choices made, things said, things left unsaid, things done or left undone. You will wonder if it could be different. Ask a lot of whys. When a loved one leaves, besides the heart, it breaks us up in many ways. But it is only over time that will bring out a different you from what you are now. Let that be something good, someone better. Story 39. It'll get better. Your whole world might feel broken now, like you'll never find another human who will love you. You will. And it'll be awesome. Life will go on and you will be okay again. Be gentle with yourself and allow yourself to be sad for a bit. Story 40. First breakups are tough. Just give yourself some time. Once you are done grieving for the end of the relationship, go work on yourself. You are imperfect and flawed. Work on your attitude, get to the gym, pursue your hobbies, focus on yourself a little. Somebody will appreciate the work you put into yourself and will compliment your lifestyle. Also, remember that every interaction with the opposite is not an opportunity to find a partner. It's obvious when you are desperate. Just be present in each moment and be honest. You'll turn your game around pretty fast. Source, 25 meters, married. My game sucked until I met my wife. Story 41. It's okay to be sad for as long as you need. It's this moment where you realize who your true friends are too because they will support you. It's important to have alone time, but also to not be alone. Also know it's never the end just because it didn't work out with one person. There are so many people in the world, you shouldn't have to be stuck with one that's not right for you. Story 42. Rebound isn't a good emotional coping mechanism. Take time to do you, and limit social media. Don't lurk on your ex or their friends page. You're asking to get hurt. Story 43. If you broke up with him, her. Write yourself a list of every reason that you broke up. I'm not joking. Write it down and keep it in your purse or wallet. There are going to be times when you get hit with nostalgia, and that list will stop you from trying to rekindle a relationship you didn't want to be in anymore. If you were broken up with, remember he is just a boy or she is just a girl. I know exactly how you feel, but another is going to come along. You need to get yourself together and then go back out into the world doing all the things you enjoyed doing. The right person is just going to stumble into your life when you're least expecting it. And that stranger is one of the best feelings. I wish you the best of luck with the heartbreak, but remember, things aren't going to get better, just give it some time. Story 44. Read through HR breakups. It really helps you make sense of what you're feeling. You get to analyze not only your behavior, but your ex's behavior too. You get to learn where you went wrong, why they did the things they did, why this X thing they did or why thing they said was manipulative, etc. Reading people's stories about how they're much better now is a double-edged sword. Can be painful to see how you're still grieving and want to get over it, but also give you hope how you can make it through. It keeps you company when you realize you're not alone in these feelings and helps keep a grip on your sanity. Story 45. Get through it how you can. My first relationship at 16 was the worst breakup. My dad used to berate me and scowl at me for being upset. Don't listen to people. You can and will get through it. Story 46. About 2 weeks after the breakup, the revisionist history begins. You will only be remembered for your negative qualities and the ex will mention them anytime you are brought up in their presence. Story 47. Really work on yourself. It's a lucky time that you have with only you. So take advantage of it and grow. Try new things and experience new moments. Break down who you are and what you want to improve. It'll be lonely and scary a lot of the times, and depression will come and go, but get to know yourself, Forgive yourself and love yourself. Story 48 time. Truly heals everything. Right now it feels like it'll never end, but it will. And you may never ever fully get over that person, and that's okay, because they meant something to you and were part of your life. And also the most important thing I learned after breakups, for me personally at least, is to block them out of your life until you feel properly healed. Block them on social media, delete their number, etc. It'll stop you from wanting to reach out and seeing them and feeling sad all over again. Then maybe after some time you can choose whether or not to open that door again. Story 49. Stick to your closest friends. They will help you through it, and furthering your friendships will make you feel as if you are gaining something. Or you can just smash plates at a wall. Story 50. Get rid of everything that reminds you of them. If you catch yourself thinking, but I don't want to let go of this memory, let it go. Delete all those photos, get rid of their junk, and take time away from social media so you don't bump into them. Take some time for yourself and be selfish. Story 51. The good thing about heartaches is that they eventually stop. It can be quick, it can be long, but it stops. Eventually, you're going to think about the person much less. One day, you'll be surprised when you think about them because you'll realize it's been weeks since you last did, and it's not even going to hurt anymore. Story 52. Like some people are saying, let yourself feel all this feelings. As easy as it is for us to say, it really isn't the end of the world. Here are some things I would tell you. 1. You will find someone else. 2. You will be happy again. 3. It is easy to remember the good times and cry about your breakup. 4. It will leave a scar in your heart. Personally, to me, that is a good thing. You will learn from this and be much better at looking out for your best interest when you seek for your next relationship. 5. Learn to love yourself and learn to be single again. 6. Reconnect with your friends. That's as you were in a relationship where you put your friends in the back burner. Some people do that. Never do that. Your friends are important. 7. Don't rush into another relationship. 9. It's okay to cry, but get out of your house or apt and do something. 10. Don't invite misery. Stop talking about your ex so much. Story 53. First breakups are always hard because you never went through something like it before. You just need to remember that you got some dating experience from this relationship, and it will help you in your future dating life. Story 54. Give yourself time to heal. Share with folks if you need to, though I encourage spreading it around so you don't overburden anyone with your feelings. And understand that someday you'll be able to look back and have bittersweet memories of the relationship. For some folks, journaling can be a great outlet too. Lastly, be good to yourself. Exercise, take long hot baths, showers, go get a massage, buy yourself something nice. Story 55. Just cry it all out when you need to. There will really be days that you just need to break down, so let yourself do that. After some time, all the hurt and crying will stop. Sure, you'll still have thoughts about them from time to time, but the hurt won't be there anymore eventually. I also agree with everyone on the deleting on social media and basically working on improving yourself. It also helps to spend some time with your friends who wouldn't judge you for being sad and would instead keep on encouraging you to be better. Story 56. Before sending or responding to any messages, take a minute and think it through. I don't know your situation, but it's always helped me to calm myself and think before responding. If it doesn't feel right in any way, just move on and be courteous. Story 57. Let yourself feel everything you're scared of feeling. It's tough at first, but as time goes on, it gets easier. During my first proper breakup, I discovered I liked 80s and 70s music and got heavily invested in making a big collection of that era of music, finding something new to do and to give myself a purpose again. A small gesture, but the small things matter. Story 58. Lose yourself in empty and meaningless. No, but really, as everybody else said, take your time and allow yourself to process all your feelings. Don't rush into anything just because you miss companionship or having physical contact with another person. All things pass in time. Story 59. Just keep looking forward and don't dwell on it. Look for distractions with friends or family. Month by month, the pain will ease up and eventually fade. Story 60. I agree with what a lot of people previously have said about no contact, removing items from your life that remind you of your ex, etc. Hopefully, one day you'll appreciate the relationship and be able to look at it objectively. But fresh off the breakup isn't the time. Don't say anything you'll regret. It's important to keep this in mind, and it says a lot about your character as to how you handle relationships all the way to the end. The best thing is to really take some time to internalize what you learned, improve on your self-awareness and knowing what you want, and understanding that people have different wants, needs, personalities, thresholds, etc. Story 61. Don't try and find a huge distraction because those feelings will eventually overwhelm you. Take time to process your feelings and understand them. Also, be realistic. Take time to love yourself and build your independence as a single person. Hey, what's wrong with being single? Just some insight. Story 62. Use the pain of the breakup as a motivation for changing your life. People break up for a variety of reasons, and even if you are one doing the ending, then that is perhaps a reflection of poor choice partner originally, or ignoring the red flags because of self-doubt or sunk cost fallacy. If they left you, now is the time to turn your life around. Get fit, change your diet, drop addictions, and most importantly, take action to improve your mental health. Story 63. I can only say that breakups don't always get better with time. You will most likely always be unsure if everything will ever be okay again. But since the future can look pretty bleak, and the past looks pretty sad, just get through one day at a time. That's all you can do now. It sounds a bit distressing, but that's the only thing I can say, and the only thing I tell myself on my fourth breakup. Story 64. Let yourself feel the emotion, but stay active. Get out and live life, even if you're distracted by breakup thoughts. It helps keep your thoughts from spiraling farther and farther from reality, and really helps even if it doesn't feel like it. Specifically, try to do new things. You have to trust me on this. Go to a concert you don't think you'll like. Go see a movie you normally would skip. Not a depressing one, though. Go on a walk at a park. Listen to a weird Spotify playlist. It just works. The new experiences shake your brain up and remind you that the future can be different. Story 65. It's not your fault. Ultimately, there is a reason it happened. Mental recovery takes time. At the end of your day, life loves on. We are all a bunch of space monkeys who found out how to talk. Story 66. Get new routines. It's really easy to look around and just see all the things you used to do with that person. Get some new routines and form new memories that had nothing to do with the person. It helps to feel like life really can go on without this relationship. Rebounds are okay. After my first heartbreaky kind of breakup, I struggled a lot with self-worth. I kept circling back to the thought that no one would ever like me again. I ended up just going on a date. The date itself was meh, but it was a nice revelation that, oh yeah, I can actually go be with someone else and life goes on. Story 67. A lot of weird advice like blocking them out of your life, which I think is totally unnecessary depending on the nature of your relationship and breakup. Recently broke up with my girlfriend of 6 years. I've accepted the mistakes I made in the relationship and how I could have been better. Pity is the worst phase and you want to get through that ASAP. That's the least productive way to feel in this situation, although it can be somewhat cathartic. The experiences and time I shared in this relationship are something I want to look back on with happiness because they are some of the happiest moments of life. My GF was my best friend, and like a tattoo, she is a permanent imprint of a period in my life. The most important thing is how can you grow from this? Be selfish for a while. Make yourself top priority. There are many people out there to connect with when you are ready. Story 68. This sucks, it's gonna, but it will get better. Better to tell it to him straight, rip the band-aid off and get it over with. And as far as what you can do, just be there for him. Story 69. We understand that this probably hurts like nothing else you've experienced, or close to it. You aren't alone in having had this experience. It will change you. How is up to you? It will get better. Story 70. Accept that it takes time to get over it. My first ever relationship was like 2 months long and it took me like 3 to 4 months to get over it. Don't be afraid to talk to your friends about it and use other emotional outlets, such as listening to music to cope. Most importantly, learn from the breakup and relationship as a whole. Use it as a learning experience. What did you like and dislike about your ex? What went right and what went wrong? What can you do better next time? Were there red flags? I'm in a great relationship right now of about 2 years, and mental and emotional self-evaluation helps a lot with finding a quality relationship. Story 71. Instead of submerging yourself in the pain of the breakup, remind yourself that without having been in love and feeling happy, you would not feel this kind of pain. It will get less and eventually become a faint memory. And it will happen again and again. But if you always remember that this pain comes from past joy and love, you'll get strong and able to carry on. Story 72. If someone is trying to break up with you, let them. Give it time. It will pass. You'll look back one day and realize the two of you wouldn't have been compatible anyways, as you both changed into someone completely different. Story 73-1. Understand there's more than one right person for everyone. While I'm not poly, that's basically the whole point of it. There's so many people in the world who are all so different, and you can only love one. Even if you're monogamous, realize this wasn't the only person you can love. It's just the one you loved right now, and that's valid. But there will be another. 2. Don't waste whole days staring at the walls and reminiscing. I did that. Wasted time and wasted life. What my partner's counselor suggested when he was going through a rough situation is to set aside a limited time during the day. An hour or two. Set a timer. During that period, you can cry, journal, be angry, ruminate, scream, hit pillows, write letters you'll never send, play sad music, whatever. But when that timer goes off, you are done for that day. Of course, thoughts and feelings will intrude throughout your day, but consciously stop and say, no, I'll deal with that tomorrow at 2. And then keep on. You can train your brain to get in a thought loop, and that's what happened to me. I got so stuck grieving and being upset I had kind of forgotten how to do anything else. I was stuck in the same place for way too long. I've tried this technique since with other very emotional events, and while it's difficult, it does work if you really stick to it. 3. Be kind to yourself. Don't put the whole thing on you. Even if it was you, understand made a mistake. Think about why you did what you did and how you'll not do it next time. Say, if you cheated, should you have distanced yourself from the crush? Not drank so much? Just ended the relationship when you realized you had feelings for someone else? Do that next time. You can't go back. Anytime a relationship ends, even on good terms, you will have regrets. They're part of life. Accept you're imperfect. And the other person is too, and internalize that. Really grok it. You can't go back, but you can go forward. 4. If you can and want to, and know you'll be able to care for it, get a pet. Even a tank of fish. Taking care of living things is therapeutic. My cats have gotten me through some really dark times because I had to keep going for them. They needed food and attention and care. And they're a living being who doesn't judge. They don't care if you're crying and irrational. They still want cuddles. And getting to know a build a relationship with a new pet is a great distraction. Better and arguably more rewarding than jumping into another human relationship before you're ready. Story 74. Make sure you look after your basic needs. Try to shower every day, eat 3 meals, with vegetables if you can, but no pressure. Brush your teeth. Try and at least go to bed at a reasonable time, if not sleep. When you're suffering, it can be very easy to neglect these things, which will only make this harder. Story 75. Read up on stages of grief. Going through a serious breakup triggers pretty much the same emotions. Be in touch with your emotions and go through them, but realize there's a storm in your mind, and you not all is as bad as it seems. There are plenty of other compatible people out there for you. Story 76. It has been about a month since my 7-year relationship ended. The relationship was utterly toxic, and the individual had left me before in the past. And after those past times, I, in a sense, let it and him ruin me, turn me into a shell of myself, beg, hope, and subsequently go back with the same ending. My point here is that this time is very different, and this is why. I have finally realized my self-worth. Don't forget your self-worth and don't let anyone dictate it for you, ever. Be single and focus on yourself and try to channel the energy and emotions you're feeling in whatever ways and means make most sense to you. This is very individual. Try to use this heartbreak as fuel for growth, for opening a new chapter, as cliche as that sounds, because you deserve it. In one short month, both my mind and body have gotten into the best shape that they have been in years. It's as though a thick cover I didn't even know was draped over me has been lifted. I have signed for a beautiful apartment, ended the semester in college with all A's, work out every day, have dived back into my hobbies, and have realized moreover the genuine individuals in my life and make it a point to let them know how much they mean to me. This is not to say that there will not be very low moments, because there inevitably will be. Or that if you aren't doing X, Y, and Z, you're failing, because you're not. As an individual who has dealt with both anxiety and depression, I never thought I could have this strength, but here I am. Feel all the feelings. Take every day for both what it is and what it is not. Everything ebbs and flows, I promise. But please, I'd especially say this to my younger self. Don't let this ruin you. This is not the end. Rather, try to let this push you to be even more whole. I guess in short, to anyone reading this, you're full of worth. Please don't let anyone strip that from you. Don't stop living your life because someone decided they don't want to live in it any longer.